Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure comparison video, and this time around we have a three-way match, and we're going to be taking a look at the S.H Figuarts Civil War version of Ant-Man, the S.H Figuarts Ant-Man and the Wasp version of Ant-Man, and then we have the Marvel Legends Ant-Man from the Cole Obsidian Build-A-Figure wave. So let's start this off by taking a look at the detail on the S.H Figuarts versions. So as far as the sculpt, the detail on the newer version is a lot better. There's a lot of nice detailing going on in the uniform here. You have the belt, which has a lot of nice sculpted detail, and it just looks like he jumped right out of the movie, so that looks really good. And I never really realized how different the Civil War version and the Ant-Man solo movie version of his costume was. On this version, it's a lot flatter, and there's just not as much going on. Honestly, it doesn't look as interesting, and I never really thought about it until I had this one in hand. The version, his costume in his solo movies is a lot better than it is in Civil War. In Civil War, he doesn't have as much detailing on the helmet. You know, it's just pretty much silver. Here he has like the red, and there's more of like a gunmetal kind of look. And one thing I like a lot more about the helmet on this one is that the antennas are much shorter than they are on the Civil War version, so you don't have to worry about them breaking. Well, I mean it's always a risk because it's kind of stiff plastic, but when they're longer, it's more of a risk. I've had these break on me before, and I've had to buy a new version of this Ant-Man, so that kind of sucks. And I was hoping that the plastic would be softer on the newer version, and it's not, but it's shorter, so I do think that the risk is significantly less on the newer version. But yeah, I think just in general the sculpt looks a lot better on this one, but that might just be because I like this uniform better. Yeah, I just never really realized how different they were, you know, and that really, I mean, I don't know, that doesn't really make too much sense to me because it kind of looked more like this in the first movie, then it looked like this in Civil War, and then it kind of went back to this in the Ant-Man and the Wasp. But yeah, let's look at the sculpt on these two guys. They both are sculpted really nice, but that's no surprise with Figuarts. But yeah, just for me, when I think about what Ant-Man looks like, this is definitely what I see in my mind. And I've always loved this figure, and I still do, but I just didn't realize how that I didn't like the Civil War uniform as much as I like it in the other movies. And since the Marvel Legends version is based on the same version of Ant-Man as this Figuarts one, let's take a look at these two together. And, you know, obviously the Figuarts version is a higher end action figure, and, you know, can't really expect the Marvel Legends one to compete with it too much. But I will say that the Marvel Legends one sculpt is pretty good. It has pretty much the same amount of detail. Check it out. There's a lot of nice details on there. It's just not as clean and stuff as the Figuarts version, but it still looks good. Let's see here. Yeah, and it looks like it's pretty much screen accurate as far as I could tell. Yeah, they're pretty much the same design and everything. There's some silver on the neck of the Marvel Legends one and not on the Figuarts one. I'll have to check on that. I'm not completely sure if that's accurate. And then the head sculpt, the Marvel Legends one is fine, I don't know, but I just don't like the plastic kind of look to it. It definitely doesn't look as cool as the Figuarts one. But then you do have the advantage of not having to worry about these things breaking because they're soft plastic, so that's cool. And there's more colors and stuff going on in this one. You have like the light gray in the front and then the dark gray in the back and stuff. And here you just have the solid one color, but the color on here does look awesome. Look at the red on there, I love that. Here it's just red paint, it's not metallic or anything at all. And then of course you have the belt that floats around, no big deal, that's kind of just how it is with Marvel Legends. And yeah, I'd have to say that the Marvel Legends version is nowhere near as good as the Figuarts version, but it's no, you know, it's no like slouch or anything. It's pretty good. And for the accessories, both of the Figuarts versions are pretty even. They both come with a set of fists and a set of open hands, and the only differences are that the Ant-Man and the Wasp version comes with a set of gripping hands, and the Civil War version doesn't come with a set of gripping hands, but it does come with an extra miniature Ant-Man figure. And in my opinion, I think the miniature Ant-Man figure is better than the extra set of gripping hands. But like I said, they pretty much even each other out, so it's really just a matter of which one you prefer. But I personally think that the miniature Ant-Man is a better accessory to include with Ant-Man versus gripping hands when he doesn't really have anything to grip onto. And for the Marvel Legends version, he doesn't come with any extra hands, but he does come with an extra head, which is Scott Lang without the helmet on. And I think that's an essential thing that you need for the movie version of Ant-Man, and I think it's pretty disappointing that neither of the figure arts versions come with the alternate head. I kind of get it the first time around, but they should have definitely corrected it when they released the second version. So that's a little bit disappointing, but still, I still think I prefer all the extra hands and stuff like that. So it's really kind of even with the accessories with all these three figures. The figure arts versions have more different kind of things, and the Marvel Legends one has something that's really essential. And just in case anyone's wondering, you can't really put the Marvel Legends head onto the figure arts figures. It's a little bit too big and the peg hole just doesn't work. Right now I have it on there with some blue tack, so it'll stay on there, you know, but see, check it out. It's just some blue sticky stuff to keep the head on there. And I mean, I guess it could kind of work for some pictures if you mess around with the perspective and the angles and stuff like that, but I don't think it'll display very nice. So that does suck that Figure Arts hasn't given us an unmasked Paul Rudd, aka Scott Lang head. For scale, all three figures are good. The Figure Arts versions fit with other Figure Arts figures, and the Marvel Legends one fits in good with the Marvel Legends figures. And they're also even close enough to mix and match, I think. I'm kind of okay with Ant-Man being a little bit shorter than Captain America. That's why I don't really mind having my Figure Arts Ant-Man figures with Marvel Legends figures, even though they look a lot better and they don't really mix like aesthetically. But as far as scale goes, I think they work okay. And I'd say maybe Ant-Man, the Marvel Legends Ant-Man, is a little tall to fit in with Figure Arts, but it's not like he's huge or he towers over them. As you can see, he's right here next to Iron Man. He doesn't look like a giant or anything, so I think that works out just fine. So as far as scale goes, I think all three of them did what they needed to do. And for the articulation, let's start off with the Marvel Legends. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as the Figure Arts versions, but it's pretty decent. It has all the standard Marvel Legends articulation points. It has the double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, upper thigh swivel, ball jointed shoulders. It has an ab crunch, but I will say that the ab crunch isn't very good on this figure. So that's really the only part that kind of sucks. Other than that, everything is pretty standard, but it's just not on the same level as Figure Arts. So let's talk about these guys now. On the Figure Arts figures, if you have the original Civil War Ant-Man, you know that the articulation is awesome. It's probably one of the best articulated figures out there, and they even improved on it with this new one. And the only thing that they really improved on was the shoulder joint. It comes out a little bit more than it did on the Civil War version. Let's see if I could show you here. You can see that it comes out a little bit more on the brand new version. And it's not like it matters. You're still able to get all the poses you would like out of the Civil War version, but it is cool that they try to improve that a little bit. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, the articulation on both of these figures is awesome. You have the double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. You have the toe articulation, upper thigh swivel. You have the drop down hips like a lot of import figures. You have articulation at the chest that could go side to side and swivel. You got a lot of good stuff going on with both of these figures. So articulation was never the problem with this figure at all. So I do like the fact that they took everything good in the articulation from this figure, put it in this figure, and then improved on it. So when it comes to articulation, these two guys are pretty much tied, and the Marvel Legends version is way behind. So in the end, I'd have to say that my favorite version is by far the Ant-Man and the Wasp version of Ant-Man, and he's just a really perfect representation of the MCU Ant-Man, or the way that I see him in my mind. I've always loved this version of Ant-Man, but I just never felt, I don't know, I almost like felt like this isn't like how I see Ant-Man when I think about him in the movies. This version definitely captures that. Even the Marvel Legends one captures that pretty good, but it's just not as good a figure. And you know, you can't really blame it. They're in different leagues. This is a $20 figure, and these ones are usually about $60. So you know, it is what it is. But if for some reason you can't buy the Figure Arts, or you don't feel comfortable paying $60 for a figure, then the Ant-Man version, the Marvel Legends version here, really isn't a bad option. So there you go. But as far as these two go, the Ant-Man and the Wasp version is a perfect representation of Ant-Man, and I love this figure. I love the sculpt, and I like a lot of the improvements that they made on this Ant-Man figure when compared to the Civil War one. One big problem I always had with the Civil War version is that his shoulder pads were always falling off, and that's not really a problem here with this one. I don't think they've fallen off once so far. I think maybe once I was trying to see if they'd come off, and they did, but it's not like they're just popping off when I'm moving his arm around like they do with the Civil War version. And another thing I'm really excited about is the fact that the antenna things are shorter, so I don't have to worry about them breaking. And those are all things things to be considered, because I like to take this Ant-Man figure, or I used to like to take the Civil War Ant-Man figure, you know, with me on vacation or just random places. So I look forward to taking this one with me now, and I'm happy that I don't have to worry about the shoulder pads popping off or the antenna breaking. I mean, of course, like I said, it's still a risk, but I think it's less of a risk now. And really, there's nothing that they didn't do the same or better on this new version than they did on the Civil War version. So I'm very happy that they made a bunch of forward steps when it came to this figure and this character, because we definitely deserve a good version of Ant-Man. We had one before, but now we have a better version. So I'm very happy about that. But I do love both of these figures, and I do love the fact that they both represent different looks, because now I don't feel like I have to get rid of the Civil War version, which was I was already considering. Now I really don't feel the need to sell it, because now this is the Civil War version and this is the just regular Ant-Man movie version, you know. And I really, like I said, I just never really thought about how different the two costumes were. So it's cool to have both versions now that I know that there is two very distinct different versions of Ant-Man. And just real quick, I wanted to show some love to the Marvel Legends version, because even though he really didn't stand a chance against those two, he is a good figure, especially for the price. So he's a good option for people out there that don't like to buy figure arts. And also, he's probably one of the most improved figures that we've seen, because the first version of Ant-Man was pretty much garbage. Check him out. He was very movie inaccurate. I know that he was based on early movie concept art, so he never really stood a chance himself. But he wasn't a very good version of the character. But they put it out anyways. I felt like they rushed that whole wave, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm glad that they fixed their mistake and gave us a really good version of Ant-Man for the people that just like to collect Marvel Legends. So I think that's really awesome. And this one really does need to go in the garbage or something, because he's not very good. But anyways, I think that's it. So thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know which Ant-Man figure you like the best out of all three of these. And thank you very much. Peace.
Crispy.